Alright, hello everyone. Welcome to the last day of Scrims Season 4 regular season. These standings are actually still in flux. Either Kathy's Kittens or Closeted Furries will be able to grab the final remaining spot in the standings, and they will be accompanied in playoffs by the Silicats Kitten Grooming Service and Mimaw's Kittens. Mimaw's has not yet locked third place, but Silicats and Kitten Grooming Services are locked at second and first respectively. We should be joined by Jacob any second now for a pre-game interview for the first game today, which will be Janley Animal Control and Mimaw's Kittens. I'm seeing now that Mimaw's has chosen the red side, but for some reason their roster is still in flux. So could be interesting. I know Janley Animal Control is subbing for Hidiri in the jungle and is out. I think their team went a 2 mental kaboom, and simply does not want to play with their team anymore, so bit of a disaster. Not sure if I agree with this approach, but you know, it is what it is. Alright, Jacob is here. Turn on your camera as soon as you can and we will get the interview started. Oh my gosh, you look nice. Okay, swap it over.
Howdy, my king.
Hello, hello.
Alright, hello. How are you doing, Jacob?
Honestly, fantastic. I could not be better. I'm just happy to be back with the boys, crushing it for one last game.
Yeah, I mean, I think your last game was like 2 weeks ago, right? So it's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah. Here, I should be able to do not shown. Oh, there we go. Okay. This will look better. Quick lapse on stream. It looked a bit scuffed for a second. Oh, and Valor is hopping on, so we just go back to where we were. All right.
No.
Valor repping the 100 Thieves jersey. Let's go. Big dubs. Hopefully. They are playing Flying Oyster or something, right? So who knows?
Yeah, you just cursed him, Dean.
Oh, true.
It's all over now.
I'm cursing EG too by wearing this. They're playing like JDG, like it's kind of over. But I don't know. What are your thoughts going into this game? As your team is eliminated, but are you just trying to have the most fun, or do you want to have that like lasting impact on the standings by taking down Mimaw's? Because that could matter.
Honestly, I'm just here to have a good time with the boys. I think that winning, is the most fun activity. So definitely hoping for that outcome. However, I just want to make sure we all have a good time and wrap it up with a positive note rather than a negative one. You know?
Yeah. Are we? Should we be expecting to see a bit of trolling like we did in the last game? Anything fun like the Rise Jungle? Or...
I won't go as far as to call it trolling. I think it's called risk taking. You know, you gotta gamble a bit. You know, give and you take. It didn't work out in that case. I think we're gonna go to a more traditional strategy again this time. But if Cam is listening, we're going the same picks as last time. Exactly the same picks. You should ban them all.
Oh, okay. So ban the Mordekaiser support.
Mordekaiser support. Ban the Rise Jungle. Ban the Sivir. Just get it all out.
Gotcha.
You should listen to my advice. My team wins a lot.
True. That's why you're mathematically eliminated, because of your winning. Yeah. I've heard you guys are subbing Hidiri in to the jungle role.
Oh yeah.
Have you guys practiced with him at all? Is there team synergy? Is there anything we should be looking for in this game?
Honestly, I think that we played a practice game or two. We got along very well together. It seemed to be good synergy. We worked out a few kinks that we would have had to deal with in game. And I'm excited. I think that with the points being the way they are now, it'll be interesting to see how everything evolves, because Hidiri joined in the middle of the season. Not much synergy with anyone, but very, very welcome addition to the community, and glad to be able to play with him now. Yeah,
so you're hoping that maybe the point gap over Ann will mean that Hidiri is potentially a top performer for your team, even though he'll only be playing 1v1 at the end of the season?
Well, I do think that Hidiri generally plays more supportive tank picks in the jungle, I believe. So I think that's those kind of picks against Mimaw's Kittens in particular might be pretty good at facilitating our team to victory. So I think that Hidiri is in this case very. I mean, obviously it's unfortunate we don't have our main roster, but I couldn't wish for anyone more than Hidiri. I'm very, very happy that we got Hidiri to join our team.
Makes sense. Should we expect to see him try and facilitate your carries? And it looks to be from previous games, Stanley and Jake.
Right. I think that our team has experimented back and forth with different role combinations and carry positions. And it ultimately depends on draft, what they go for. I still don't we know if we know their roster. It's hard to plan drafts against 12-person teams, but we are doing the best we can.
I mean, draft should be, or roster should be announced officially by 7. But I think we are all waiting on that. Is there anyone on their team in particular you're afraid of?
Honestly, personally, very scared of Healy. A Menace on the Anivia pick, which usually forces a ban, and then the champions picked otherwise, the Morgana, the Cho'Gath, can be flexed into multiple roles as well. So it's just absolutely throws a wrench in a lot of draft plans. But
yeah, and I believe he is one of the players that's confirmed to be playing today. So I know Stanley and him have played quite a few times, so that's a matchup I'm definitely looking forward to if that does occur. I don't know if that's the roles that we're even going to be seeing, but if we do get to see the Stanley v Healy matchup today, I would be quite excited.
Right, I know Jackson and Healy do a lot of 1v1 practice.
That's fun.
So I think that the two are it's very interesting watching how the two play against each other. I think that Healy, I said I was, person I'm possibly most scared of. I do think that given how much experience two of our laners have into him, it's definitely not a lose-lose. It's definitely a benefit in some ways. I think we're gonna crush it. It doesn't really count. We got to surmount every difficulty we can to prove that we're the best.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Even though I'm standing, so I'm not sure. But we know in our hearts of hearts.
Makes sense. Valor, do you have any questions for Jacob before we let him go back to his team?
No, go ahead and get ready. I'm rooting for you guys. Hoping you guys come out with at least a win at the end of the season for you.
We plan on it.
All right, and
wait, I have one real quick question. Is there a possibility we see the Jacob bot lane?
No spoilers.
Yeah, I hadn't even considered that.
I'd love to hear that.
Could be fun.
This could be a fun game, is all I'll say.
Alright. Best of luck to you, Jacob. I wish you luck in planning draft and figuring out what the opponent's roster is as soon as possible. So, take care. Good luck.
Alright, thank you.
Yep.
Good luck, my king.
Alright, we should find out the roster before too long. I believe it is what I thought it was going into it, so it should be so it should be Cam top, Dave AD carry, Healy mid, Ghoul jungle, and Eden support. So that means that these should be somewhat accurate graphics if I updated them, which I think I maybe forgot to. So I'll go update those real quick. I think I downloaded all the images and then just didn't drag them. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that, and then I actually have to go eat dinner real quickly, so I'll be back before draft, certainly. And then if you guys just want to kind of talk about the assets I will put up.
Is draft at 7:05 or 7:10?
It should be 7:10.
Okay.
Okay, cool. That's updated, and then I'll just hit this highlight slideshow, and it should swap every 15 seconds. If I do the right thing. Okay, there you go. All BRB.
Well, no, we were left alone. It's time to ruin this entire stream.
Yes, sir. All right. So we don't care about this game. We're gonna talk about world. No, I'm just kidding. What are you expecting to see? Like,
I'm gonna be honest with you. So, I'm loving the idea of if these teams played for one team played yesterday, and one team is the standing run. One team's out. So they can play whatever they want. They can go crazy with it. They can pull out some very weird stuff if they feel like it. And I'm honestly hoping for that. I'm
really hoping to see role swaps.
Yeah, role swaps, insane, just full dive potential, just something that's going to be where we know that it doesn't matter, but we want to end on a win and show that we still can compete.
Yeah, just to establish dominance, send a message.
Like, when you're not nervous about like playoffs and making it, when nothing matters, you can get into whatever position you want to get into and just play it out how you feel comfortable.
For sure.
I'm excited to watch Hittery play on another team because I've only had him perform with us. So to see his play style on another team, just to see how much he can adapt with playing with other players, that's going to be kind of interesting for me to watch. That's where my eyes are going to probably be. But for the most part,
I'm also curious to see, will Janley Animal Control play spoiler? Will they try to ruin the standings for Mimaw's Kittens? Because I believe Mimaw's has locked in playoffs at this point. They can't lose their playoff position, but they can drop from 3rd to 4th. So
if Mimaw's lose here, I believe it's a tie for 3rd or 4th. Because
right, and then depending on who wins the next series, that'll decide who is 3rd or 4th. Yeah. So
for those of you that do not know, this is actually going to be the first game we're going to be watching. As far as I'm aware for scheduling, it is a best of 1. These teams will be playing for 1 game, and then directly after, we're going into the best of 3 for the final game before playoffs. Yes. Not including if we have tiebreakers. I don't know the rules on that exactly, but
so I'm fairly confident we will not be seeing another series besides the best of 3 and the best of 1. Best of 3, the winner of that will decide who stays in playoffs. That's the series that decides everything. So it'll be Closeted Furries against Kathy's Kittens. If Kathy's Kittens wins, I believe they will lock 3rd, and Closeted Furries will be eliminated from playoff contention. And if Closeted Furries wins, I believe they will lock 4th, and Mimaw's will keep 3rd place. The reason for that is because Kathy's Kittens has the tiebreaker wins over Mimaw's Kittens, but Mimaw's has the tiebreaker wins over Closeted Furries. And so if Closeted Furries, if Mimaw's Kittens lose this best of 1, then their fate will depend on Kathy's Kittens winning or not. That being said, that placements don't super matter for playoffs unless you are first. First gets to decide who they want to play against between the 3rd and 4th seeds, if I remember correctly, which means that 3rd or 4th don't super matter for who you play against the first round. It might just matter for side select in loser's bracket.
Yeah, so that's what we're going to be looking at. So basically, as he said, depending on this game, we'll actually decide the placements for the next series that we have right after. So we do have 2 series tonight. One will be a best of 1, and the other will be a best of 3. Like I said, for the first series, though, I am excited, staying on that. I am definitely excited to see if we see some crazy pocket picks, some very weird out-of-meta type stuff. Just a high-risk, high-reward kind of thing. It's 1 game. Might as well put pressure on.
Yeah, 1 game. I want full fiesta. I want 20 deaths at 10 minutes. Just constant fighting, constant engaging. I don't want any of this bullshit enchanter meta where you're just waiting to scale. Don't pick Ornn in the top lane. I don't know. Pick like Fiora, Camille, Irelia, something fun, Swain mid. I just want to see perma fighting, perma grouping around objectives. Maybe Jacob Sivir, who knows? Like, just make this a fun game, It doesn't matter for Janley. It doesn't matter that much for Mimaw's, but just come out and put on a show for us. Like, that's all I want.
Yep, agreed. So if everyone has an understanding, I know we can't see it on the screen right now, but for the playoff contention, we are the few teams have already been locked in, and there is only 1 team to lock in left. As it does go, Kittens Grooming Services did get first place, being 9-1 through the season, so they actually get to decide if they want to play against the 3rd or the 4th seed. And that's why we're kind of just talking about who could potentially fight for the 4th slot, because that's not locked yet. But then the 3rd and 4th do not matter as much, because first place does get to pick whoever they want to face. So that fight won't be too much of a concern about who gets the 3rd overall. But 2nd place will be already placed for Silicats, and they will be facing whoever Kittens Grooming Service do not go against. So this series is just going to be fun to watch in general. This one doesn't have too much high stakes on the line. As we said, it's going to be much more of a play whatever you want, come out strong, end the season for Janley's. Just try and end the season on a fun high note. Make sure players are having a good time and ready to return for next season after the playoffs is over. Which, if you guys do not know already, this is a server on Discord that we like to have tournaments and seasons and compete against each other. Also, we like to just have fun Friday or Saturday nights where we play games against each other for fun. If you haven't
There
already
are
joined it,
signups, so if you don't want to commit to a full season, we do have best of 1 or best of 3s that you can sign up for just for fun. Zero stakes, you know, it's just to get together, play some competitive games, and talk about it afterwards.
exactly. So it is just a fun time that we have here, and after this season, it's just going to be another one right after.
Yeah. I believe we are planning to start the next season in January, but don't quote me on that. We're not super sure. We will have a break in between for a bunch of signups, from what I understand.
Yes, give a lot of time for other people to join and also to get through the preseason and the new season beginning, because it is going to be hectic.
Yeah, for sure.
If you've been around League of Legends for a while, you will understand that every single time the new year starts for us, it is a very crazy shift in gameplay. So give everybody a little bit of time to figure it out before we try and start a season. It's just the best thing we can do.
All right, enough humble self-promotion. We can start talking about draft. We have about 5 minutes until draft should be starting. Some
Who is blue side?
matchups. Who is blue side? I'm not sure who is locked in blue.
I'll check the chat real quick, see if there has been a lock-in for who is playing what.
I believe Dean mentioned it before he left, but I did not.
He has it
catch
locked
it.
in a way that I'm assuming that's how it is. If you look at the stream right now, we do have, it looks like Mimaw's on the blue side.
Sure.
And Janley's and control. So right here, we're going to be playing for Mimaw's going for a strong first pick. The blue side advantage does give you first choice. Basically, it's going to be either a takeaway from the enemy teams for something you do not ban. So I'm looking forward to that. But we could see with Healy being a great Anivia player. I faced him on the Rift on it. He's a very strong player on that. And Anivia is strong. She is a very useful champion. She brings a lot of utility to teams. So that could be something that we're going to be looking at for a mid lane contention to be taken or banned by the red side, for them to ban it away from him, since they do have the first choice of picks here. Looks like Jacob for his most played champions is Nami, Nautilus, Yuumi, Leona, Seraphine. Seraphine has just seen a very strong playstyle overall for a lot of teams, and it looks like also Dave does play the Seraphine, but plays it in a different role. I think he does play it in the carry role a little more often. So
For Dave, I wouldn't be surprised if he also played it mid. Same for Stanley. I think Seraphine this season has just been such a high priority pick for all the teams that if you don't play it, it's going to be an auto ban. Eden is pretty comfortable on the Seraphine, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see a ban coming on the Seraphine from Janley Animal Control. As well as an Anivia ban, just because Healy, as you said, is so impactful on that pick. We could also be seeing a Yone ban or an Echo ban for Cam. Cam is a very avid Echo player, as we saw yesterday. His Echo was doing so much damage that we decided to ban it the next 2 games. As for Mimaw's Kittens bans, I'd be surprised if we don't see like a Victor ban or a Swain ban. I know Stanley is supposedly playing bot, but they could always rotate him, and those are champs that he's very comfortable on. We might also see bans against his ADCs. As you can see, Dave against Stanley. Stanley does have the upper hand. He has 1 more win, slightly higher KDA. 2.9 is pretty good, but 3.58 is very, very good.
yes.
He also has a very good record on the Victor in the bot lane, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see the Victor ban, even though he's playing bot. Jacob's Nami is well known. He has the most games on it. He might have most games on a single champ out of anyone on the server except for maybe Layla with her Nami. But yeah, definitely wouldn't be surprised to see a ban going down on that. And then as for the rest of the team, we could see a Volibear ban. I believe Jake is a bit of a Volibear. I wouldn't say one trick. He does play other champs, but it is one of his most picked champs. We could see a ban going down on Hidiri. He is a Kayn enjoyer, but as Jacob said earlier during the interview, he also does like playing those supportive tank junglers. So we could see like an Amumu ban or a Volibear ban for him as well, or Trundle ban. Trundle is very meta right now in pro play, so not super sure what we'll be seeing, but it is exciting.
Do you wonder if Mimaw's does date their draft compared to yesterday? There was a time after the series that we played against them, that Silico and I actually were conversating with them because they were going over some of their issues they had with draft and stuff like that. But do you think there's anything they take away from our draft and use it? We've seen that happen many times. We actually ourselves are doers of that. We actually started playing the Ash Seraphine bot, which has been very strong for us after facing the number one place team.
Kitten grooming service.
Grooming services, yes. They when we played against them, they played it against us and it's very strong. And we kind of adapted to that when we were learning things. And even yesterday, we saw on our Game 2 series, they took the Cho'Gath from us because the Cho'Gath Game 1 and even Game 3 was a very, very big frontliner. So I'm really wondering how much they have adapted from just our series yesterday, because I think that could be something to be talked about. There are champions that we pulled out yesterday that we, because specifically I play a lot of champions, but they really saw some things that we were doing, and they even, I think, took away some things from that. And I'm wondering how much that affects their draft here. I'm wondering if they actually play some things that I haven't seen them on. It would just be interesting.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if they don't adapt their draft somehow. It is worth mentioning, Suki, their jungler yesterday, is not playing today. It is Gold, switching in for him in the jungle. I believe his champ pool is a little bit smaller than Suki, so it'll be interesting to see what they pick up for him. Cam is back in the top lane according to how they signed up, and I believe Cam can play a large number of things. He is an Olaf enjoyer, so we could see him on the Olaf just to generate a lot of pressure on Janley's backline. I don't know if we'll be seeing the Cho'Gath. I don't think it's something Cam really enjoys playing. The tank top laner, just a beefcake soaking up all the damage. I would like to see it, but I don't think it's gonna happen. And
So,
it is
for a quick update, sorry, didn't mean to cut you off. For a quick update, they did start the draft phase. We're waiting on this to switch over, and that will happen in a quick second. We'll kind of give you guys a little bit of commentating about what until we are. It does look like Mimaw's Kittens is the red side. It is flipped over right. So Mimaw's Kittens. Wait, I have two different.
Mimaw's Kitten is on blue.
On mine, it says they're on red. Okay, I'll follow. Okay, yeah, they are. They are. It says on mine they are red.
Yeah,
That's fine.
on the graphic it is wrong. I need to regenerate it.
So is it wrong? Which? So is Mimaw's blue or red?
Mimaw's is red.
Okay, so Mimaw's is red side. Okay, so Mimaw's is red side, and they banned the Anivia, the Kaisa, and their third ban will be the Yone. While Animal Control does decide to ban out Victor, Volibear, and we're waiting on the
Other way around.
Wait, what?
Mimaw's is on red side, so they banned the Victor and the Volibear.
So wait, the names are backwards too?
Yes, the names are backward on stream. There we go. It's good now.
Perfect. Okay. So this makes more sense because I was actually concerned about the Anivia ban. As I called out, Healy is an amazing Anivia player. Faced it in lane. I do know he is a strong Anivia. So for blue side to take that away from him because they don't want to take it as a first pick. They want to get him on something a little less comfortable. Beautiful idea to get that out of the way. Getting rid of the Kaisa from Dave, not letting him pop off on that, and taking away Cam's Yone. And as you called, Jacob is going to be taking the Nami for their first pick, and now we're going into the red side, getting their 2 picks.
Mimaw's did end up banning Victor, Volley, and Maokai.
Yeah,
which makes
it's
sense.
actually crazy that Jacob gets Nami though. I believe Jackson hasn't played Volibear when it's been left up for a crazy long time, and what was it? Jacob has like 25 Nami games or something ridiculous, and they're just giving it to him. So, I mean,
That
I
does
guess
mean they give over the
for
Seraphine.
the culture, yeah. It is a good trade. I think Seraphine is probably the stronger champion right now, but Jacob's insane covered on this Nami is crazy. Also, I guessed right, it is 25 games, so this will be his 26th pick on the Nami.
26 games in Scrim Zone on Nami.
That might
What
be
are you
the
looking-
most by any player champion combo.
It's definitely more than mine. So Sivir locked in for the ADC. So it looks like right now we do have our bot set up, unless that is a mid Seraphine. But as of right now, I'm gonna hold that to being a support Seraphine. Coming in for the Sivir, Sivir plays really well when she has these kind of supports that can help her engage, but also get her out of trouble.
I don't love the Sivir pick though. She got nerfed pretty hard. I like to seeing it as a counter pick like we saw yesterday.
Ooh, that is a Tristana.
And that's what happens. You get a Tristana who I think just straight up beats you in lane. Sivir obviously scales better in team fights, but Tristana, if she gets ahead with the resets, with the Hail of Blades damage output, might just steamroll your team before Sivir can scale up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of the Triss pick. It's very aggressive. I would assume this is probably going to be Jake or Hidiri playing it and not the Stanley. It kind of doesn't fit into Stanley's normal style of play. After seeing the Hecarim locked in, I believe this is going to be Jake on the Tristana, and Stanley should end up being mid. Just for what that's worth. Hecarim is a very powerful champion. I'm surprised to see it go this far through draft. But I guess Gould doesn't really play it, so holding it for blue 3 does make a lot of sense because it allows you to get it picked before it goes off the board, but there's no prio on it because you're not really contested on the pick.
I really like this draft from Janley so far. The team fight engage with Hecarim and Nami is so insanely strong. Nami also speeds up the Hecarim, and then Tristana comes in and cleans up. I really love this. I want it rounded out with like a control mage. As much as we wanted full engage, something like Victor's band, but Orianna with the Hecarim would be insane here. And maybe like a front line in the top lane. As for Mimaw's, I'm not sure how I feel about it. Seraphine's obviously insanely strong, even after nerfs. Sivir, if she gets time to scale, could be really good, and then the Sejuani is just a nice jungler or top laner to keep the Tristana lockdown, but right now I think I like Janley's draft better.
Yeah, I agree. I think the ban on Zilean is really important here, though. Speaking of players who have a lot of games on particular champions, I believe Stanley has played 20 Zilean games in Scrims, and that would be terrifying to play into a Hecarim with the Zilean speed buff. Wukong is similarly good. It covers both Cam and Gould. If that champion was locked in, it could be a double flex for top jungle with the Sejuani. Pantheon taken away is one of Stanley's current favorite mid lane picks. The Katarina ban is being hovered against Dave, but I believe Jake also plays it, and it is locked in considering that Dave played it yesterday. I also believe if they are considering banning the Katarina, it probably means Jake is definitely the one playing the Tristana.
Yeah, definitely makes sense.
Ooh,
Lux locked in.
that's for Healy. He's blinding Lux into Stanley. He is known for that champion. I'm going to try and pull up his stats on it. He is 3-1 on the pick. Average KD of 7.8, 4.3, 10.8. Kind of disgusting, to be honest.
Now that they've locked in the Lux, I do want to see something a little bit more aggressive for Stanley, rather than the control mage. I'm not sure what that would be. Vel'Koz. That's interesting. I'm not sure how I feel about it. It kind of feels like it doesn't match up well with what the rest of your team wants to do. Vel'Koz is more of a disengage, peel back type of champ, and the rest of them are pretty heavy engage. So I guess we'll see how it works in game. Maybe Vel'Koz is a good matchup into Lux. I'm not super sure about that.
I would assume you should just be able to outrange her, and Stanley is quite comfortable on the Vel'Koz pick, so I'm not super surprised to see it come out here. He's a big fan of it, and we are seeing the blind Mordekaiser, potentially.
Blake's favorite champ.
Yeah, I mean, it's decent into Sejuani. I wouldn't say it's great into Sejuani, but it's like fine enough. But there's no guarantee that that's not in the jungle. And there's a lot of champions that can absolutely just dog on Mordekaiser. I'm hoping to see I was going to say Fiora or Lilia, but instead we're going to see the JACs. I don't actually know how this matchup goes.
I do like Cam on a
I think
potential hyper carry like
slightly Jax favored. I don't think it's like anything crazy. Just because in order for Jax to get anything done, you have to be at melee range. I think if you're able to play around the counter strike correctly, it gets it really hard for Mordekaiser to start his passive, which is really important to be up in fights. Fun champions to counter Mordekaiser with would be like a Lilia, or like the Aatrox that's insanely strong right now, or the Olaf, but looks like Cam is not choosing to run back the Olaf and is instead going with the Jax. Right,
I think Jax does work a little bit better with what they want to do than Olaf. This doesn't seem like a team you want to be fighting against in Janley, so having that split push potential and then the Seraphine and the Lux there for strong objective control is probably pretty good. I don't super like the Mordekaiser pick.
I
I'm not a
don't either.
Mordekaiser hater, like some people in the server are. But I just feel like it doesn't really do that much here.
Yeah, I mean, my take on Mordekaiser is that he's decent as a counter pick in certain comps, especially here in like lower elo where we don't have the macro to kind of play around it correctly, because it kind of gives you like a get out of jail free card when you're taking a dragon flip, because you just have the Mordekaiser ult the dragon out of the fight, and it kind of solves some bad macro play. But I don't really see that being the main drive of locking in the Mordekaiser here. Just because you have a comp that kind of wants to go forward and then Vel'Koz and sit on the backline and fight, I guess the Mordekaiser could help if the JAX gets on the backline, but he should be losing to the JAX, so I think that is just kind of a tough spot to play for them. Also, just never a fan of blind Mordekaiser. There's too many matchups that are just like completely doomed for him. I guess it could be the Sejuani top and JAX jungle, but that would be pretty interesting, and I don't expect that to be the case.
Valor, if you're here, I'm curious what you think about this draft.
Overall, I think that you could really go into different things here, but right now I don't think Mimaw has a stronger draft. I think that Janley's Animal Control with the Tristana, like picking Lux with already seeing a Tristana there, because you got to remember Tristana's not just gonna blow up a Sivir, she's also gonna blow up a Lux. The only counter they have to that is if Sejuani is right there and ready to just go in, throw Glacial Prison at Tristana if she jumps in, or have the Seraphine Charm ready to catch Tristana. But if Tristana finds anyone solo out, if this Tristana split pushes and just forces someone to meet her or goes and plays the assassin role, Tristana pops Lux and Sivir like it's not. So
Yeah,
I
think
feel
it's
like
also
Janley has a very, very strong draft. Mordekaiser can also split someone from the fight. If I was Mordekaiser, I would definitely just take away the Seraphine in most of these fights, get rid of that complete charm, because everything else, I mean, Jax goes in to just stun up, Tristana knocks him away, Vel'Koz knocks him up, Nami ults. Like the engage that Mimaw has, Janley's has so much counter engage to get that off of them and then deal with it, and they have just delete potential like crazy.
Yeah, it's exactly what I was
mean,
going to say. I think the
Oh, go ahead.
I think the only champ that is an actual threat for Tristana on the side of Mimaw's is the Sejuani. Like, as Valor said, Tristana can just knock the Jax away, so he can't really get onto her. Sejuani has that long-range ult that comes out pretty fast. You can buffer the Tristana jump, but then you'll just die to the follow-up. So I think keeping the Sejuani away from Tristana is Janley's #1 goal, and if they can do that, the game is pretty easy for them to play. So I think I agree with Valor's assessment here.
Yeah, I mean, a couple things I would point out is that Lux pretty much has a similar tool to Sejuani ult on a much shorter cooldown in her Q. And it's a lot harder for Tristana to see, especially if she ever jumps in during a fight. As soon as that jumps down, Healy can just throw a Q and snare the Trist, and she's just gone.
It's in a 5v5 for sure.
Mordekaiser should be able to ult the Seraphine and get a lot of value for his team. Except the problem is I have no clue how Mordekaiser could ever get close enough to Seraphine to ult her, especially with Sivir to help peel out. If Mordekaiser tries to walk into their team, they have Counter-Strike, they have just Sejuani existing, Lux Q, and Seraphine has a lot of CC as well. So it's going to be really hard for Mordekaiser to get in and really get anything done. And I think for Hecarim and Mordekaiser, they're likely to just get blown up as soon as they enter the fight if they don't have a huge lead.
It would be very strong if Janley's Animal Control gets the earlier presence. If they get the Vision Control and the Dragon Control earlier, that's where it becomes a problem. Right now, Mimaw needs to make sure they're not giving up control of areas too early, because if you have the Mordekaiser waiting or the Hecarim waiting, and anybody steps forward like Jax or Sejuani, they're not even going to have time to get into the fight. I mean, Vel'Koz will blow them up, Mordekaiser will walk up and ult someone. The amount of face checking that Mimaw cannot do this game is the scary part for me. I get that Jax can be very strong, can delete people quickly, but to deal with getting CC locked up, because there's a lot of CC on Janley's Animal Control. There's a lot of slows, there's a lot of stuns, the fear from Hecarim. They got a lot of CC. And so to get past that, I think Mimaw needs to be one, even if it's just a little bit, but one step further than them. This is a game of chess at this point. They need to have all their moves decided by the timer, make sure their backs are in before the dragon spawns and they're there with vision, or else they're going to be walking into a potential blow up.
I'm just
I think
going to
that
spotlight some stuff real quick that we missed before. Since this is actually the matchup that will be happening, we'll look at Stanley versus Healy. Stanley has played 78 games of mid lane, Healy with 34 in the server, and their matchup stats are actually quite Stanley favored, even though Healy has the better mid lane stats overall. Both of them have played a pretty wide variety of champions. Believe Stanley has played the Lux into Healy, but Healy has not played the Lux back into Stanley, which is kind of funny to me personally. And then we can also take a look at the records on these champions. Hidiri and Jake will be first timing their champions in scrims here. Jackson has played a few games of Mordekaiser, hasn't looked too great, but Cam will be first timing the Jax back into him, so not like a huge worry. Healy and Stanley are both terrifying on these champions. Dave Sivert has not been his strongest, I don't think, but Eden and Jacob both have some pretty good stats on their champions going into this. Gould has played the Sejuani once, and it was a bit rough, but I think that was probably on Your Winning Son, which was a bit of a dark point for him. That team was just a bit rough overall. Then we can also just look at the champion matchups. Looks like we have basically no data on any of these. Sejuani is 1-0 against the Hecarim. Sivir and Trist both popped off that game, but Sivir ended up winning it. And Nami and Seraphine we have seen 15 times in this server. Nami seems to be pretty favored in it. I think part of that is because the people who are playing Nami are usually more experienced than the Seraphine players on their champion. Jacob being a key factor in that because he just plays a lot of the Nami, and he accounts for, believe, like 30 to 40% of the total Nami games in the server. No data on any of the player matchups except for Stanley and Healy, which we had talked about already. And just going to take a quick look at the strengths of these champions in the server so far. New graphic that we have just added. Vel'Koz is pretty even. Tristana has actually not been performing very well in scrims at all. Sejuani, though, quite good. And Seraphine and Nami, as the two most played champions in scrims, have just a lot of games played. Seraphine 41 and 32, Nami 30 and 27. Mordekaiser, notably with a 1.52 KD across 26 games, is looking pretty rough. So who knows how that is.
Mordekaiser would fall into the don't category.
Right.
Tier
And
list.
then here are games just from this season. Tristana kind of brought back around a little bit. Seraphine and Nami, pretty on par. It's surprising to see Seraphine only having a 22-19 record, despite the huge pick ban priority placed on her. Lux has also been picked a lot here. Sejuani is doing incredibly well this season. I think a lot of that is due to my top laner, Michael, a big player of the Sejuani, has done quite well. I believe he blames me for the one loss that Sejuani has this season that I inflicted upon him. But again, looking at Mordekaiser, it is quite rough. 2-9 this season with a 0.81 KD. I wonder if you subtract just this season from the total, he would have a positive win rate, so that is what it is, I guess.
Yeah, I think for this game, the two champs on Janley I want to keep an eye out for are Tristana and Hecarim. If either one of them gets a couple kills early, it's going to be super hard for Mimaw to play. On the other hand, if Sivir gets a couple kills, she'll be accelerated, and if Jax wins the top lane matchup early, which he should be doing, he is slightly favored, then he can just 1v2 or even 1v3 in side lane, just generate so much pressure for his team. So I think those matchups, the top jungle and bot matchups, are really important. I think Vel'Koz and Lux will be doing what they're doing no matter what. Same with Nami and Seraphine. So that's where I want to keep my eyes out.
So you're looking at this being more of Mimaw's going for the split play, get the Jax ahead, get the Jax to prioritize side lanes, shove them in hard, and have him be answered by them, while Janley's Animal Control is going to be playing more for the team fight and trying to get the whole burst lockdown.
Yeah, for sure. I think Mimaw probably wants to have Cam split push as much as possible, just to delay big team fights around objectives, because you want the Lux and the Sivir and the Seraphine to all scale up. And if you can do that, it's going to be a lot easier for you, whereas Janley has such easy engage with the Hecarim Nami follow-up, and then the Tristana jumping in. So I think they definitely want to be playing team fights, even like super early. And Mimaw wants to delay as much as they can, get some gold onto their carries, and hopefully be able to just win with scaling damage.
I like to see that. I like to see that. I think that the amount of wave clear that comes from Mimaw too is actually pretty good. You know, having Sivir and Lux and Seraphine, they'll be able to wave clear without being in too much danger at all. So if Janley's animal control does get ahead, they're gonna have a little bit of a harder time sieging than they'd like. This is where the dragons are gonna come in very powerful for them. They're gonna need these extra stat boosts to try and get a little bit more prio on shoving hard as a team. Because dealing with the JACs that's going to be split pushing and the wave clear from Mimaw's, it's going to be hard to secure a win on that. They're going to need every advantage they can get.
Alright, we should be heading into game shortly. I've just simply loaded into game faster than the people actually on the Rift, so it will be a couple seconds, but you should not have to wait too much longer. I did start a prediction using channel points on the Twitch if anyone would want to predict on that.
I will be predicting, I will be partaking in the predictions. Unbiased caster, though.
Exactly.
Do what? You say unbiased?
Unbiased.
Oh
I'm
my
sorry.
gosh, someone just dropped 5k on Mimaw. Submissions are closing in 10
Definitely
seconds.
unbiased caster.
It's okay, this just means that... oh wait, I was gonna say whoever is voting for Janley has insane odds, but... submissions are closed.
That was really fast.
Yeah, I mean, I started 2 minutes ago. Just forgot to say
okay.
anything about it. That's my bad, potentially. Do you have the Arcana Hecarim? I feel like Kadiri's traditionally been going with, like, the no skin, but...
I think,
The old
to be fair,
favorite.
we've also been putting him on champs he doesn't usually play. Not much action happening here.
Yep, it's just going to be look like a little bit of a vision control early and just kind of hang out, nothing crazy.
Jonah's in chat saying his 1k on Janley gonna be fat. Yeah, Jonah, I'm okay losing that 5k if Janley can clutch this out. I want to see it. Their record is just kind of against them.
Yeah, I mean, I think Hidiri subbing in probably will help a little bit as well. Add some spice into them, and I think a lot of what was causing Janley to suffer so much towards especially the end of the season was like their mental state, and I think one of the more notorious tilters in the server has been removed from the team, so that could have an effect on how the game goes.
Definitely possible.
Looks like we're going to be getting a bot side leash for both of these junglers. They look like they're both going for the full clear setup, which actually makes a beautiful early game fight because they will both be meeting at the top side Scuttle Crab.
Yep, nothing really happening early. Hecarim is slightly behind the Sedge in terms of clear. That's not what I'd expect. You usually think of him as one of the best full clears in the game.
Arguably, the red side buff, though, going golems takes longer than going from blue to grop to wolves.
That's true. Early poke going down onto the Vel'Koz.
You can see even now it's the cross before the Sejuani, the team speeding it back up. Because he did the golems, though he technically the extra seconds you have to take to walk down the golem, he will probably does clear raptors and wolves than Sedge.
I'm curious to see if Sedge does the full 6 camp clear, or if she'll go red directly to Scuttle. Hecarim should be able to double camp these, so he will be coming in at level 4 if he does that. Whereas if Sedge does not clear the Krugs, she will be level 3. That is something worth keeping an eye on.
You look at that the reset of the lanes in the mid lane. Oh, we have a little bit of a trade coming up top. Looks like the Jax gets low, popping a potion, but they are... You can see here, if you look into the river on the top side, Vel'Koz just placed a ward down to let Hecarim know if Sejuani gets that clear up and gets to the river before him and tries to meet him at the Scuttle Crab. Hecarim is now going to be moving over, and Sejuani is now doing the golem, so this could be pretty free. They both do not have smite, so Hecarim could look to take this right away. Looks like Jax is kind of lower into the top lane, and looks like, oh, Hecarim's coming up and looking for it. They do have vision of him. They have the pings going out, letting him know that he's there. Jax
He might be looking to invade here. No, he'll just be backing off. I think Jax ate a tower shot or two during the trade's top, so he should not have been that low. but it's not going to matter. He's probably just going to back and TP in after this wave.
A good damage coming out from both mid laners, getting some poke on. It looks like Vel'Koz does lose that trade overall.
Yep. Hecarim grabs the Sheen on his first back, a couple control wards. He will probably be playing towards Dragon here. Try to get to that Scuttle first before Sejuani can, but it looks like he's starting up the Krugs now.
Both junglers on a full reset, but Hecarim is up one extra camp for getting the Scuttle Crab, while Sejuani just reset knowing that Hecarim was topside. Looks like this is going to be a restart of camps here. We'll see if the Hecarim decides to walk over and see if that Scuttle Crab is available. Jax is too low for his own good. He needs to be very careful here. This is the problem with taking Jax with Ignite, is you do not have the teleport.
Oh, that's true. He did not have CP.
And come back. It looks like Mordekaiser is going to be looking for a dive here. Puts the damage in. Jax now is trying to put the stun out. Mordekaiser stays in turret range and takes an extra shot he didn't need to. And
He's still in turret range. That was a really good flash for Jax. He's still in kill range here.
Staying alive here. Jax is barely surviving, but he is doing it. Looks like
really good juke by Jax.
Very dangerous setup. Mordekaiser's just kind of trying to apply pressure and stop the Jax from getting the wave, getting any farm, trying to get his CS lead above.
Yeah, that's really good for the Mordekaiser. Denying some gold for the Jax here stops him from accelerating too quickly. Hecarim will not get to the Scuttle in time and will just be leaving the drag. Will continue to clear, but the clear's even now. So
yeah, Sejuani took the time after Gromp to go over and take the Scuttle, while Hecarim was doing another full bot side clear, getting his Golems and his Raptors, which allowed Sejuani to even it back up. Very nice.
I feel like usually you see Sedge prioritize the ganking a little bit more, especially early.
Come down right here. Sejuani is roaming up, and there's no vision. The Mordekaiser wants that Jax. It's so low. Mordekaiser does not have flash. He is now getting set position to try and get the Jax. Jax dodges the pull in, hits the smash, and he's going to be stunned, locked up, gets killed. First blood over to Sejuani. Beautiful Arctic Assault holding there in permafrost. So much CC coming in from Sejuani. That is Mimaw's Kittens up with the first blood of the game.
I was very confused about how you were seeing this before I was, and then realized I was looking at the stream instead of watching the Discord broadcast.
Looks like red team over here on Mimaw is going to be shoving in the bot lane right here and putting in some damage on that Tristana. Jax has been
Favor is very low here.
Trying to catch the wave. Hecarim's going to go in. Jax has to burn. Flash gets out, gets the stun off though. Hecarim's still going to put in the damage. Jax might not get out if Mordekaiser get a pull on him. Does not get the pull. Jax is now going to reset, take his gold lead from that assist from Sejuani, come back to lane.
Yeah, Mordekaiser, when he got killed, actually did end up hitting level 6 before dying. I think it would have been possible for Jackson to level the ability and then ult Jax immediately. He just did not have the hands to do that before the Jax stun came off.
Yes.
Quite unfortunate.
Looks like Mordekaiser is actually freezing a massive wave, which will crush his minions very quickly. This is because the Jax also, once again, does not take teleport. It's something that you have to be careful on. Going with a double summon a spell that does not include teleport in the top lane. Oh, before we get back into that, there looks like a little bit of trading going on the bot side. They're looking to poke out. Didn't want to get too much, go deep into it. They're worried about the Nami being able to counter, shoving up to that Sivir. Just kind of trying to get the wave shoved in.
The thing with taking double combat sums is if you're ahead and you get that split push pressure, it's really hard for the enemy team to answer you, especially with that TP on the Mordekaiser. On the other hand, if you don't get an early lead and the wave is frozen on you like it was for a little bit there, it can be really hard for Jax to deal with that.
Exactly.
That being said, the Kindle Gem plus the Sheen is enough for him. The cooldown reduction on the Kindle Gem is enough for him to be able to push out the wave. And his W will be doing way more damage. He is getting chunked out here pretty hard by the Mordekaiser. This could just be an ult.
No. So a beautiful trade coming out. Looks like they're trying to get the dragon setup going. Mordekaiser is applying so much pressure. The Jax is super low. Needs to be very careful of Mordekaiser ult. If Mordekaiser decides to throw his ult on Jax, Jax is going to be stuck in a realm with Mordekaiser and cannot run away. Looks like Tristana goes in onto the Sivir, putting in the
heal out.
Forces the heal out and gets out.
Comes out. Vel'Koz getting really low there too. So a lot of fighting, scrapping happening everywhere, but not really anything getting done. Lux will flash out here. The double root does land. Hecarim ult comes down. This should just be a kill.
Overall, it is a kill over to Hecarim. Hecarim is not done yet. Sejuani does have the stun ready to throw it on him, but is not using it. Use the pass code to get a little more distance. Uses the flash to get out of there.
Sejuani does not have level 6 yet.
Sejuani is still waiting to get to 6, but the dragon is up, and it looks like everybody wants it, with a mid laner being dead on Mimaw's Kittens. That does give a little bit more control over to Janley's Animal Control. Looks like Sejuani's just going to go back to clearing the camps here, and is just going to give up that dragon. A very smart call. You lost your Lux, which is a massive part of your damage in the early game. You need to make sure you're just kind of going back to doing your thing and not falling behind. Looks like this will be a free dragon over there. Jax is once again low into the Mordekaiser lane without a TP. And going to have to deal with trying to farm again without letting Mordekaiser take his health bar even lower.
Mordekaiser has a 30 CS lead here. Could we see gold real quick? I'm curious if the assist evens that out. Yeah, that's only a 300 gold lead, so that's about a kill's worth of gold.
Yep.
Considering he's 30 CS up, that's not awful for the JACs. I'm surprised it's not more like 500 gold.
And so far, both the kills are actually on the junglers, so they are very even in gold, which is very nice to see. That way there isn't a problem with having to deal with one jungler invading like crazy because they're massively ahead. Jax is just going to be trying to farm while taking some trades here.
Yeah, this seems like a pretty big comfort pick.
Sejuani's coming up, back up here. Jax is low once again, does not get killed, but Sejuani is here. They do have a ward there. Mordekaiser knows what's going on. Mordekaiser also has flashback up. We have to be careful at Sejuani. Sejuani does have Glacial Prison. Completely ready to go in and engage this fight. Mordekaiser could get an ult and split the two teams off from each other. Jax is just keeping the distance until some stuns start coming out. Here we go. Starts the Assault, the Permafrost onto the Mordekaiser. Mordekaiser is getting low, but he's a Mordekaiser healing back up, getting the shield, staying alive. Jax is trying to get in there and stop this fight. That's a double kill over to Hittery. Or sorry, that's not Hittery. Why does
That's Jackson.
Yeah, that is Jackson.
That's really good for the Mordekaiser.
Very strong.
The fact that Jax doesn't get ahead here, get a couple early kills, he can't get any plates because Mordekaiser will just be able to shove him in. He might even be able to get a mythic off of this back if he can get a couple plates. That's so insanely good for Janley Animal Control here.
Yeah, so it does make the Mordekaiser a lot more of a problem to deal with. It looks like Jax held Ignite there. I'm assuming it was because Mordekaiser actually used his ultimate to take Sejuani into the different realm. Jax really couldn't get into the fight at any time. So at least he still has some pressure to keep that Ignite, but that's not going to matter to that kind of gold lead and CS lead up there. While this is all going on, Hittery is going to be taking out the Scuttle, get a little bit of extra gold to his team, getting the resources up there. That's exactly what I like to see. Like I said, get those early resources, getting everybody a little bit more into the game, and so when the presence starts coming into team fights and shoving waves, their wave clear is not going to matter as much.
Yeah, and it makes a ton of sense. Like, Mimaws cannot answer that Scuttle, or that Rift Herald. They don't have any priority in the top lane. Jacob doing some emoting here, some BM. So it's just a free objective. He doesn't even need to smite it. He can just go back to farming. Really good macro there from Hittery and Janley Animal Control. That is maybe something that comes with Hittery being a little bit more of an experienced jungle than an ADC. So I'm happy to see him performing as he usually does instead of being tanked, his stats being tanked by playing with us. We'll be pathing towards bot side here, trading coming down in the top lane. Ignite goes down.
Looks like Jax is looking for it. Jax is definitely looking for it, popping his Grandmaster's Might to jump onto the Mordekaiser, but Mordekaiser still holds summoners, holds everything, just kind of walks away. Looks like Jax is going back in, getting some more damage. This is the trade-off now. Now you're dealing with a Jax, who is going to try and fight and force your health bar low, try and get himself back into this game. Looks like Lux and Vel'Koz are also going to be trading back and forth. Getting the vision cleared for Jax so he can feel a little bit more safer up there, because now he knows he can start shoving the lane in. Everywhere else is kind of just going with the normal trades. Everybody's kind of farming. It does look like our Sivir actually is up 101 to 85 versus Tristana. That's what you get when you have a very strong poke lane. I'm going to keep harassing the Tristana, while Tristana is waiting for the perfect moment to just dive completely in, as you saw earlier when Sivir had to burn her heal to stay alive.
Sivir is the first champ to pick up a mythic here. That could be really big. Dragon is coming up in about a minute and 20 seconds. If there is a fight there, then Mimaws will have positioning to get vision before, which is exactly what we said they needed to get to succeed in these team fights.
This is exactly what you need. 2 out of Mimaws right now. They are actually getting full resets in right now to get that early setup going, as we said. If they can get this early reset, or if they can get this early vision control in and having Mythic, because Tristana has not reset yet, and she's going to start backing right now, but it's getting a little bit closer. Dragon will be up pretty soon here, and we have to be worried about what they're going to have set up for him.
There are 2 stacks of wards on both the Vel'Koz and the Sivir. Their teams should be pointing and laughing at them right now. That is completely unacceptable. Use your words, guys.
You can see here they're trying to bait in with Nami staying alone, and Sivir is going to look like she's going to fall for it. She might have to put an early flash, and she does not. She's holding it. Looks like the damage in the ult from the Nami just misses because the fear from Hecarim knocks Sivir out of there. Mordekaiser also ulting in onto the JACs, saying, "You're back in my arena, boy." And looks like Sejuani's coming in, throws the Glacier Prison, lands on the Nami. Lux comes in with the beam. Everybody's getting so low out of Janley's animal control, and they're going to secure these kills. This
What
is
an excellent
a counter gank into the bot lane, and Sejuani shoves it under. Tristana will get out with her life, but very close, and that is a beautiful trade by
It's a
Mimaw.
slaughter in the bot lane. So many sums used by Janley. They don't get any kills. They get a couple people low, but Sivir stays alive, has to burn the flash, but you get so much gold over. That's really good for Mimaw. It'll offset a little bit of the damage being done in the top lane. This should just be first tower going over, but Sivir is accelerated, Lux is accelerated, so...
A lot of Vel'Koz there. He did put in the effort, but it was not enough.
And they even equalized the dragon stacking, so Janley will not be able to get an early soul. The earliest they can get a soul is at this point 30 minutes. And at that point, Mimaw should be fully scaled and able to contest that. So that's a really good pickup for Mimaw there. Great job by Sivir and Seraphine staying alive. The Seraphine ult was key there, I think.
Got 3 on the mid side, grouping up to try and get this Shelly to go in. Looks like Hecarim is looking to force something. Sejuani comes in, shows, even with a low health bar, to show that Lux is not alone.
Healy did end up having to use the barrier there, or not having to, but Idiri was able to draw the barrier out from Lux, so it does get something done, even if it looked like he was just sprinting under tower.
Yeah, that was so funny. He was just walking next to the Lux, didn't even do anything. But well done, got the Shelly charge in. No plates, unfortunately, so gold doesn't go over, but the tower is half health, so that is good for if they can get a pick or two later. They will be able to get that turret.
Like they're going to be swapping lanes here. You have your bot side now coming to deal with top because Jax is not that strong for them. These two could definitely kite him out and hold him back from getting any farm going while Mordekaiser's trying to apply some pressure. Looks like there's going to be a fight going on mid. Looks like Vel'Koz is getting really low, and Sejuani still has Glacial Prison and gets the kill. Ends it, making Sejuani 3-1-1. Mordekaiser goes in, puts the ult back down, says, "Remember me, I was in the top lane. Now I'm coming from the bot side." Now has Sejuani extra stats for killing. Jax has showed up to also join the fight. Hecarim is also here. It's a big fight going down. Jax is low, gets the fear off. Everybody's getting really low here on the red side, and that is Lux falling down. Mid laner for mid laner and jungler. Beautiful trade coming out of Janley's animal control. They are still holding out, keeping a gold lead, keeping the pressure up. I do like to see this. Looks like Nami's going to throw the ult just to zone that Jax completely back, even though I don't think Jax would have jumped in there. And Seraphine's trying to move over and trying to find a spot to get in. During this whole time, though, we do have Sivir on the bot side trying to get extra solo gold in by getting that turret and trading something for what they just lost.
That Riftmaker value was insane. There's so much damage coming down from the Mordekaiser. Vel'Koz did die, but they pick up a kill and 2 turrets. That's huge for them. That's really good. They're now 2,000 and a little bit gold up. And they needed to get ahead in this game. If they were behind at 20 minutes against the scaling comp that Mimaw has, I would think they're in trouble, but they're getting the jungle camps and the top side. They have a gold lead. They have a turret lead. This is perfect for them, to be frank. Like, maybe the play on the bot side, if that had succeeded, that would have been even better, but they're getting Shirley here, and Shirley has been buffed a couple patches ago, so she'll do even more damage to turrets. I think this is just really good for Janley.
Yep, it looks like the Sejuani is considering that they are over there and wants to go in, but I think the team is slowly rotating over, but it's going to be a little bit too late to get in there. They do get the Rift Herald, and they actually hand it right over to Mordekaiser, because Mordekaiser, he's already really strong. So if you give him this and he goes split push with it, he could take 1 to 2 different turrets on a side lane. It's a really good call there to let him take that and get a little bit more gold and keep getting further and further into the game. I think this is starting to become more of a win con. They believe that Mordekaiser will be able to carry this game right out. As you can see how long he was able to fight in mid lane before even Hecarim arrived. He takes out the Sejuani and keeps the Lux at bay and keeps the Jax on top of him, and he was just sustaining the whole fight. Going back to some normal clearing. It's going to be some wave clears on all the lanes and some jungle camp clearing. Back to the first few minutes of the game, just kind of resetting everything here. They could look to try and set up a play. It looks like Lux is waiting to hit one of her light bindings and catch someone if they can do that, but as of right now,
So much damage coming down to the Seraphine.
Very low, and actually Vel'Koz is definitely gonna hurt. Even though it's not a Luden's build, it will still burn after hitting people. And looking for the aim, and almost hits that one too, which would have made it very low. Looks like down in the bot lane right now, though, we do have the Mordekaiser kind of shoving up, and Sejuani's there. I don't know if he's aware that Lux is there. It looks like Lux is actually going to be taking over there, and Sejuani's going to back off, go back to the jungle.
The thing with Mordekaiser, when he gets ahead, he has a full item up on the JACs here. If you send multiple people, he'll just ult one of them, kill them, and then get their stats and be able to fight the rest of you. So the fact that he's ahead and able to split push like this and threaten the Shirley drop is just really, really good. We might be seeing a collapse here on the Sejuani.
Here, Vel'Koz is going to use the ult, but that does burn the Sejuani enough to say, hey, back off, we're getting this control, and there's nothing you're going to do about it. During this time, it's a perfect time for the grouping, getting the vision in for this dragon coming up. Looks like there's going to be some poking going on. Jax is thinking about going in, gets slowed, getting ready to get the stun in, misses the stun out. Looks like Hecarim is kind of getting back a little bit. Hittery dropping low, gets charged.
Reman, Seraphine ult.
Healy coming in with the ult to clean it right up. That was a beautiful Seraphine ult, picking everybody off. Sivir's kind of chasing him down while Jax is on the other line. Sejuani throws in the Glacial Prison, gets them all low, getting stunned up, locked up, and the red team back in the game. And now Mordekaiser's coming in the back end, saying, I can still 1v4 all of you. He's going to be putting in some damage, but he's getting kind of low. He's going to be fighting and pushing, and he gets the Jax clean up, pushing it for another one.
Oh my god.
Definitely puts up a fight and trades it back out to keep the gold lead. But they are going to lose Dragon for this, it does look like. But that was a beautiful play, and it looks like Shelly is also pushing on the side lane, which was what Mordekaiser wanted, was to get the Shelly over there before the team fight so we can get some turrets for free. That was a beautiful trade up on Mordekaiser. I'm very impressed that he could actually still come in the back line and delete a couple people before going down.
That was so much damage from the Mordekaiser. Like,
Would like to
1v4 and he managed to get 2. That's insane.
Yeah.
Really well played.
Yes, very beautiful. I do think, though, that Mimaw's made a very, very good call. That pulling in the Seraphine ult there to get them all into a perfect line for Lux to burst a few of them, take one down. It was a beautiful early fight. They definitely had
props to Eden. Holding that Seraphine ult that long, even after Hecarim engages on your Jax, like, that's really good. You bait out, their shield's down. They think you don't have it, or they forget about it, and then the Seraphine ult comes in and just completely turns the fight in your team's favor. That's really well played.
I'm liking this so far. It looks like, even though it has looked like the Mordekaiser is very strong for sure, but the gold lead is still not too much. It's been around this same amount for almost the whole time, which is kind of nice to see. It looks like we still have a very even game, and it could just take one mess up from one team and it could be over.
Could be seeing some posturing around this Baron. The Baron has been alive for about a minute and a half now. Both teams would have the damage to burst it if they can get a pick here. Mordekaiser
pokes onto Lux, but Lux also locks down the Vel'Koz. That's the damage.
Just one-shots him. Oh my god.
The lead in there with a little bit of a boomerang help from Sivir to make sure it is secured. Beautiful kill. That's a pick right there. That gives them the map. A little bit more to play around. They have to be very careful, though, because Mordekaiser doesn't care about numbers. He will come and he will find. But right now, Mordekaiser is split pushing. They're going to be jumping in. This is exactly what Tristana does best. Jumps in there. Henry goes in to clean it up and finish it off. Jax is now trying to meet up with the Mordekaiser. Stop him from getting an in hit while these fights go down. And Jax is now at that point in the game where he feels like he can fight him. Looks like Mordekaiser's still going to be split pushing here, but that is a beautiful trade now. Both mid laners are dead. That takes away a little bit of the map prio, but they're still threatening the Baron. Looks like both teams are still going to be hovering over it, but right now Mordekaiser pulls Jax into his ultimate, says, back into my arena we go. Jax says, at this point, buddy, I'm okay with being in here. While that's all going on, they're putting in some damage, some poke coming into the jungle side right now, and Jax barely gets out with his life, gets the flash in, and dies still!
I thought it was going really well for the Jax there. I think
Glacial Prison comes in, flying in, getting the lockup on Hittery. Hittery's trying to fight it back. The Nami ult, the Seraphine ult
comes down.
Hittery is still alive, but just drops with his life. Vel'Koz coming back to clean it up and get the Sejuani. That is jungler for jungler. Tristana jumps back in, does what she does best, and gets another kill. Beautiful flash forward by Tristana to guarantee that one. That gives them the map presence. That pushes the gold lead a little bit higher up there. Mordekaiser doing what he did best there, forcing the Jax to come meet him. Jax almost still takes him out, which is crazy, seeing the massive lead that Mordekaiser has. Some champions are just busted like that. Looks like they are going to be starting the dragon up, and Mordekaiser, it will be TPing in to help them secure this. They do not have smite, so if the red team decides to answer and does throw something over the wall, there's a potential for a steal here. But I don't know if any of them will be in range in time for that. Sivir does still have her on the hunt ability to try and run up faster, but I don't even know if they know that they're on it. There's the ward, does not matter. Baron over to the blue team.
this is exactly what I wanted to see this game. Just So many team fights happening all over the map. Really good push awareness by Jackson there. Pulls the Jax all the way to the bot lane and enables his team to get that turn in the top side. This game has been really fun to watch so far, and I'm excited to see if Mimaw can delay it.
Looks like Mordekaiser is pushing up the top lane, coming in to fight the Jax, but little does he know Sivir is there, which also gives him the ultimate on Jax, getting a little bit more stronger, and he might get a double here.
Oh my God,
Sivir
he almost killed the Sivir.
That was very close for Sivir to be called on to also die for a double. Mordekaiser does get one and forces the reset out of them. During this time, we do have a mid lane push-up. They do not know. Oh, they do know that Sejuani's there. Just dropped the ward. Vel'Koz poking the Sejuani, saying, get out of here. We don't want you diving anybody. For those of you that do not know, the Baron, which was the big giant purple snake they just killed a little bit ago, gives their team a buff for a few short minutes where all their minions are empowered and their pushing potential is way stronger. So during this time, you'll see a little bit of a glowing purple aura around the blue team and their minions when they're by them, which will allow them to siege turrets a little bit easier and get the red team to have to play defensively for a couple minutes.
Little known fact, it also grants 40 bonus AP and AD to everyone who has the buff.
Yes.
Not that that matters that much. That's about a BF sword in stats in terms of AD.
Yeah, it depends on the game is.
Yeah, exactly. And at this point, with 25 minutes, a BF sword is relevant, but it's not that big. The big part is your ability to split push.
Yes. Ability to shove in these lanes and get a little bit more of a gold lead going. I don't think they got too much for it so far. Looks like there's just going to be some poking, because they got another dragon coming up right here. Both these teams actually want this dragon. They the soul from Mountain Drake with the shield and the extra stats for their durability is very beneficial here.
So much damage going down on the Nami. I think if I was Mimaw, I would just want to give this Drake over. It's only going to be Janley's second Drake of the game.
The force on it, and it looks like Mordekaiser's just coming up and saying hello. That is a charm.
Scream and Seraphine.
The damage coming in, but Lux is still not there. Lux can't get into the fight. Mordekaiser's still fighting, takes out the Sivir that is the dragon over, and Hillary comes up, cleans up the Sejuani, also ends the Seraphine. Jax is now on the back line, takes out the Tristana right away, gets the double stun in there, but Jax, you are by yourself. Jax also falls. That is a dragon over to the blue team, trading also 1 for 4. This opens up a lot of time for them to go. They still do have the Baron buff. As you can see, the purple minions is going to be shoving this lane in a lot faster. This is a perfect time for them to try and get an inhib open.
It's so sad for Mimaw. Their engage was good. Jax on the Tristana, the 3-man Seraphine ult, but Mordekaiser just ults your Sivir, and then you just lose, like you can't do anything.
I'd like to also put a note out there that Vel'Koz did keep Lux out of that fight completely, dropping in the CC, throwing the ultimate, saying, Lux, you're not coming in here. Lux was split off from the team from the beginning because she was in the mid lane side, while her whole team was bot side. She could not get in to really put out the damage and help maximize their efficiency, which was a very beautiful play out of Vel'Koz.
Yeah, really good point. At this point, if I'm Mimaw, I'm thinking I want to stall this game out, get gold on my Sivir, get her to 3, even 4 items. You're losing team fights. Their engage is just too strong, so stop trying it. It's not going to work. You need to get gold onto your carries. You need the Lux to be fed, you need the Seraphine to be able to survive a little bit longer, and you need the Sivir to be able to put out that damage in a team fight. If Sivir can buy the QSS and have that Infinity Edge, it'll be so much easier for your team to play these fights. Without that, I think you straight up just lose. Mordekaiser takes your biggest source of damage out of the fight and can just dominate her because of his item advantage, and the rest of your team will lose to the Hecarim and the Tristana.
Like Jax is going to be trying to take a camp here, but Hecarim does not like that. This is his jungle, and he's not a fan. But Jax is kind of getting strong. The Graceful Prison comes out from Sejuani. Sejuani's also there, but that is still a trade. Going to be Jax falling first, and Hillary is just healing like crazy. And now the whole blue team is here, saying, what's up? You're handing it back over. Hillary on a double kill. Hillary is just as strong as Mordekaiser now. The amount of sustain and healing he got from just fighting 1v2 for so long, even had the Sejuani running away before the rest of the blue team even arrived. Looks like it's starting to roll away from Mimaw's Kittens. They're having to deal with a very strong Janley's Animal Control, who are trying to end this season on a high.
I love to see this from Janley. Like, they might be 1-8, but they're playing this game as if it would have gotten them into playoffs. Like, they're playing it seriously. They're playing it well. A little bit less of a fiesta than I would have wanted, but I can't blame them. They're playing it super well, and I'm just really happy to see it.
I like to see the advantages that Mordekaiser has been given and the Hecarim also. Hittery is, as I said before, the performance that Hittery has been putting out, I was excited to watch. I was definitely a player I wanted to keep my eye on. Looks like they are trying to get a back in, but Lux is not allowing them because they do know Baron is coming up soon and they want to stop that. Hecarim's going a little greedy, going for this red buff, takes it, gets the smite off. He will have another smite available by the time Baron spawns, which is going to be the extra little last touch of true damage to hopefully get the Baron. Looks like they're all just kind of shoving out the lanes. Tristana in the middle of split pushing. She is going to go for the reset, get her last little bit of an item that she's trying to build before this Baron fight. This is a fight that could end the game. Mimaw has to be very careful if they decide to try and contest this. They're trying to shove the mid lane in right now so they can actually do something. Tristana is still splitting, decides not to reset. And this allows the red team to start coming over. Tristana now starting the back animation. She actually fakes it and she just starts going for the turret. She assumes she's probably already going to be getting jumped, so she's going to go for it anyways. Get the damage in there. Jax is here. She does have her jump again, and maybe her ultimate to get Jax away from her. Looks like Jax just flashes over, and she holds it and does not get out and dies pretty early. Baron
That does pull
and that is,
3 members to the bot side.
It did pull the whole team back. Baron has now started, and Sejuani is looking for a window. Sejuani does not have any vision, though, is not aware of how much health the Baron still has. Sejuani's looking to get in there. Mordekaiser is not about it. Looks like Sejuani's going to keep getting closer again. Throws the Glacial Prison in, trying to get close. Lux gets the Baron steal! Lux does an ult team right over the wall to get the Baron steal, which also makes Sejuani die, but Hecarim
absolutely lasered.
Mordekaiser flashes forward, puts the ult back in, getting the Sivir kind of low, getting the health bar to drop. Sivir's trying to sustain for her life, but also will fall.
Sivir gets her neck broken, but that laser from Lux, oh my god, so well played. This delays the game so much. This is so good for Mimaws. And can I just say, Dean is absolutely smurfing with these camera toggles, like showing that they had no vision on that until Lux threw that E forward. Just perfect. Really, really, really well done.
Yes, sir. It looks like Mordekaiser's still just trying to grab some gold out of this, but the Jax does have the Baron. Lux is going to go all the way. Jax is trying to force a little bit of something, at least get the Mordekaiser to be aware that Jax is not alone and will fight him. Looks like Mordekaiser still is just going to stay forward and say, I'm okay with that. I will, I'll take y'all on. Just going to take your camps and then I'll leave.
Mordekaiser's on 4 items. Sivir was able to complete the Infinity Edge before that fight. Did not have a QSS, which I believe she should be prioritizing.
Further into this, Jax does go back in, trying to get back into the Mordekaiser. If he does get the stun off, there's going to be a lot of free damage. He's getting in here, putting in the damage. This is the part. There's the Ignite. The Ignite's down. It looks like the Jax is finally in the game, ready to try and solo kill the Mordekaiser, but he has to be careful. Mordekaiser's sustain is actually crazy. Jax does finally make the comeback happen. That does give the time for the blue team to take the dragon, knowing that their Jax is not there. They don't have as much engaged to get on top of them. They do have the Seraphine that they could use to try and pull a charm there, but red team might have just been a little bit too late to get to the punch there. Jax back into the game. This is where the Ignite comes in, drops a little bit of that sustain from Mordekaiser, and Mordekaiser now is, no matter how strong, is not strong enough to fight this scaling Jax. Jax also going to be taking this Baron buff and splitting, putting a little bit of pressure, and this is exactly what we wanted to see out of Mimaw's Kittens, was the Jax getting side lane. Jax has to be careful. Hecarim has arrived. Hecarim has put the fear in, but Jax still has the stun, putting in some more damage and trying to run away, but he is burning to death. Does die right there, gets a shutdown over to Hecarim, a little bit more gold into Hecarim's pocket, who is already pretty strong. Hecarim is now being met by the red team in hole. Does not have his ultimate to try and get out of this one. He's going to try and get some damage in, but also drops to Sivir.
Alright, so that's a couple, that's a Baron buff down on top of the Sivirs and the Sejuani's being down. Only 2 left. It should be running out in a couple seconds here. But the ability for Jax to be able to 1v1 the Mordekaiser in side lane is so huge for Mimaw. It means they don't need to send multiple people over there. He will just win in the 1v1, which means that the rest of your team can be doing stuff like that, pushing out the mid lane, collapsing on the Hecarim once he comes up to meet them. I mean, this game looks like it's going to go pretty long, and I'm here for it.
This is a beautiful series we do have right here. And do not forget, everybody, I believe we still have a best of 3 after this between 2 other teams to finish out the rest of the regular season. And then after all this happens, we will be going to the playoffs in the next stream. Looking forward to that, but we do have one more game after, or one more series after this single game that they are playing in the best of 1.
Well, look at the itemization here. Sivir is opting to go for the LDR rather than building a QSS. I'm not sure how I feel about it. Janley's is pretty tanky, especially with 2 Mountain Souls, but at the same time, if you get QSS, the Mordekaiser will just kill you. You can't do damage if you're
here.
dead.
Mordekaiser is locked down. Nami does throw the ult out, but it doesn't matter. Everybody gets out of the way. Mordekaiser is alone with Jax right now, but Jax is not scared of him as much anymore. Comes on out. The charm does barely miss. Does not hit anyone. Lux ult does some damage, but not enough to really get them any lower than they already were. Mordekaiser, it's going to be a walk away at this point. Everybody's kind of a little bit lowered. Not too much, but looks like they're going to reset here. Tristana still not available. She's on the side lanes. Looks like red team has all 5 mid right now. Jack's putting in a reset. Beautiful, beautiful trade out from both of them, and everybody walking away alive.
Yeah, so many things happened just right in that fight that neither team wanted out. I think if that Seraphine ult connects, literally all 3 of those members of Janley Animal Control would have died. A little bit unfortunate for Mimaw, but I love the scrappiness that's coming out. This game has been really fun to watch so far. It will calm down a little bit. The next drag is only up in about 2 minutes, and Baron is up in about a minute. So we should be seeing side lanes being pushed out, items being completed in preparation for that Baron fight that I'm assuming will be happening. If Janley's can set up vision, hopefully this time they get vision behind the dragon so that they'll know if the Lux is there, so that we don't get a laser steal like we did for the last fight. But we will be seeing everyone collapse here on this Baron to try to contest vision around it.
Yep, and here comes the attempted resets, but Mordekaiser also just going to put some damage in. Red team wants to definitely get some much more vision control around the next Baron spawn. This is the next objective to be fighting for. Looks like they are going to be kind of wary that Mordekaiser is waiting for him, which they are not wrong about. Hecarim now getting locked up, and the whole red team is coming up here. Hecarim has been trying to run for his life. Glacial Prison lands. He goes for the unstoppable charge. Tries to get away, and Lux snipes it from a distance. Nami now coming back for the trade. Mordekaiser is also there. They're trying to kite this back out. Mordekaiser gets caught. Does put the ult out, but I believe that
Seraphine ult is up.
Seraphine ult is up as well. This is a push down. Red team is getting in. Seraphine goes for the ult. Gets the Tristana, who tried to jump away in time. Does get rooted up, stunned up. Going to be locked down completely, and that's another kill over to the Sejuani.
Ooh, the knock up for the Vel'Koz.
But does not have the passive proc on everyone just yet. Looks like they're trying to put the damage into the Jax. Jax goes for the dive, but is also getting low. But overall, that is another grab.
Oh, Lux, let's go! Oh my god.
Getting the snipe. Lux is just stacking damage, stacking gold, bringing this team back into this game.
Man, that pick on the Hecarim was just so unfortunate for Janley. Like, you lose the Baron here, you lose a couple other members for trying to rotate up there. That's worst case, I think. Like, Mimaw will get the gold lead. The gold lead is perfectly even here, but with that Baron pickup, they will be 2,000 gold ahead, almost. Just complete reversal of what was happening in this game. Off of that Baron steal into all these picks coming out. Like, this is just unfortunate for Janley, but this is just really well played by Mimaw. Not panicking when they were behind, not panicking when their inhibitor turrets were taken. They're just playing this really well, really patiently, playing for their win cons, which is this strong objective control.
He's going to jump over the wall and get the ult off, which is also, or this smite off, which is also going to give him the Dragon Soul over to the blue team, which is exactly what they needed. Just in case you guys do not know, Mountain Drake Soul does give your team a small shield for when you're out of combat for a little bit, and you can see right now over everybody's health bars on the blue side, they do have a little bit of white after their health bar, which is that shield that comes back when they're not fighting for a little while.
This could mean the ability for someone like the Mordekaiser to survive a Lux ult, which is really big. That's a really good steal, but he will be down and they will just die here.
Full health Tristana throws the Glacial Prison, just misses, but it does not matter. The slow is holding everybody back. Then it's a Seraphine all hit on. Mordekaiser is now trying to get the Sivir alone again to get the damage off and kill the Sivir. Sivir does have stopwatch. Nami falls during this time. Mordekaiser gets out and gets the Sivir for confirm, but gets locked up by the Lux. Damage poke coming in from a distance. Sedge 20 misses with the charge, and Mordekaiser should still fall here, staying alive a little bit longer and trying to survive, but it does not matter. There's an ace for Mimaw's Kittens. And
I think this is just an end angle.
This is an end angle for sure. They get the mid lane. They're shoving it up right now. They still have the Baron buff on their minions, so their buff minions will help them shove these lanes in. Hecarim is back up. Did smite steal the dragon, but now has to decide how he's going to stop them from taking all these turrets and ending the game and going over their Nexus. Just waiting for the perfect moment to try and get an ult off. Gets the fear on all of them. Does not matter. The turrets are all gone. He does not
just ignoring him.
Stop it. And they are ignoring him, putting in the damage back, and that is game and series to Mimaw's Kittens.
Wow, what a fun game. Well played to both teams.
Game. Yes, both teams performed. You can see just right there on the kills, 24-25. Beautiful game, beautiful match by both those. And for Janley's to end their season on such a high note, it might not have been a win for them, but they are still showing that no matter how many times they've lost, they put up massive fights. It was not an easy run for Mimaw to get back into that game and to shove it through. It was very close, but blue side did have gold advantage for most of that series right there.
Well played to Mimaws. They played safe in the laning phase, waited for their carries to scale. And yeah, they might have dropped a little bit of CS here and there, but in the end, they scaled up and they were able to win the game.
To you, real quick, who do you think was the MVP?
Man, if Janley wins, you have to give it to Jackson. Just so much pressure generated. In this one, I think it's Healy. I mean, the Lux was insane. Like the Baron steal, popping the Nami in that last fight, and then also getting some CC down. Like just really well played on his comfort pick. I know it's not the Anivia, but that Lux was absolutely smurfing this game.
I'm gonna have to agree with you. I think that it's for me. It's a little bit between the JACs and the Lux. The JACs had a pretty hard early game. Was definitely put behind. And I could definitely say there was some problems of why Mordekaiser got to where he was. But for that JACs to come back and put himself in a position that he was not scared to fight anymore, could jump 1v1 on the Mordekaiser, definitely strong. But for me, Lux's damage, the amount of times we saw that beam delete people, and as we even saw in the fight that I said that Lux was zoned out, they lost it by far. But when Lux is in those fights, it's over. Lux's damage was just too much, and she was just bursting people left and right. To even come on the back end after they did kill the Hecarim, Lux came around. Everybody else was trying to shove them to the turret. You saw JACs dive under. What they didn't expect was a Lux who walked around the bot side of the jungle there and came behind to finish off the kill.
I do also want to give props over to Eden. As a sub, this is Eden's first season, and he was just absolutely smurfing with those Seraphine ults. I think this game would have been so much harder for them without the ability to just completely turn some of those team fights. So yeah, I mean, really well played again to both teams. Janley was looking really strong, probably the strongest I've seen them this season, and unfortunately they just got outscaled, and Mimaw's played this game just super insanely well. So yeah, GG's to both teams. Mimaws will be looking forward to this series to see who will be joining them in playoffs, and I believe we'll just be getting right into that.
Yeah, there should be a slight delay. I think a lot of Kathy's members are a bit slow on getting onto the call. I think there's some food and stuff going on, but ideally we should be able to get an interview with Healy right here.
Perfect.
I'm going to move him in. Hello, Healy. Congrats. You got MVP. Do you want to join the new club and put cam on and get the video interview?
Oh, no, not Cam.
Tragic. It's okay. Valor and I will go for it.
All right.
All right. Should be able to swap over to this real quick.
All right, so while we're getting into that, Healy, once again, congratulations on the MVP there. Your Lux was absolutely dominating, which leads me to my first question, though. Why the Lux, especially because of, I believe it was a blind pick?
Well, we had Seraphine, so I figured it was a fairly easy combo to initiate. And the Seraphine's ults were also great. Like, Eden was on point with a lot of those. Mm-hmm. So it was really just really well with the team comp. As long as we had those two front lines. Sejuani was great, too. I knew that I had a really reliable front line, so it was fairly an obvious pick for me just because it's such an easy way to blow people up.
Okay. So one of the fights there was a dragon fight, and I actually we had a conversation about it right at the end of your guys' game. There was a dragon fight where you were completely zoned away from joining your team. The Vel'Koz kept you zoned at. Do you think that fight would have been completely different if you were on the bot side with your team instead of coming from mid?
Yeah, I was going for a cheeky play there. It didn't work out, though, because I had vision. I tried to sneak around all the way bot side, but it didn't work out because the Nami had vision there and was just zoning me out. So I just ended up getting zoned out that entire fight, and it was a pain in the ass.
Right.
What were your guys' comms like when Mordekaiser was splitting and got, like, I think 2 turrets on side lane there? He was super strong and Jax was behind, but I just wanted to know, like, what were you guys saying? Like, are you going to send multiple members? Are you going to just send the Jax and make him deal with it?
We really didn't have a whole lot of plan. It was just, oh shit, Mordekaiser's bot. We have to go and fix that now. So we did what we could.
Yeah, it worked out. It was, yeah, really fun game to watch.
Oh, very fun game. The amount of as we said, the blue team did definitely had a small but a gold lead for most of all of that game. How did you feel about that Baron steal though? That was a beautiful Baron steal out of you. Right there, we saw that it was kind of wasn't really contested because the Sejuani I think couldn't really get in there. And so it kind of came down to you making a play and trying to get it, and it worked out in your favor.
Yeah, I actually love stealing things with Lux just because the E and ult combo usually does a hell of a lot more than anybody's smite will ever do. So it's fairly easy to time too because you just throw your E out and then you ult and E at the same time as the ult goes off and you're doing like 1500 damage. So no smite can contest that.
Oh, new.
Well, fair enough.
Or
yeah.
Cho'Gath. Cho'Gath's
Or-
Smite.
or at
Bring
least
back
or at
Cho
least Q
Jungle.
and smite, but
Yeah, I
There's
mean,
a heck
I'm
rim. I wasn't
tempted to
worried.
almost say that that Baron steal probably flipped the entire game on its head. You guys were down about 5k gold at the time, I believe, and that kind of flipped you back. I guess 1,500 potential gold lost from the other team and 1,500 to you, so that's about a 3,000 swing. And the pressure you got kind of forced them to sacrifice Hecarim to secure the soul instead of being able to, like, kind of have a full 5-man fight to win that. So it was a pretty huge play for you and probably saved your team the game, and has actually locked you guys into third place for sure. Not that it would matter because of how the playoff format works, but it is nice to end definitively in the top half of teams at the end of the season. So how are you feeling about that?
pretty good. I felt like I played pretty well. So yeah, overall just really good about the game that we played.
Yep. And going into that game, you did have a 2-4 record against Stanley. Both of you are pretty like well known, well thought of mid laners. How does it feel to take another game off of him and bring it closer to that even score line?
I'm just happy he couldn't get his Victor this game.
Very
That was
true.
the main concern. I was like, either we're picking it or we're banning it. That's what's going on.
How are you guys feeling about playoffs?
All right. I mean, I don't know too much about playoffs, if I'm going to be completely honest. I just haven't
So
really
you're
been
gonna
paying
be
attention.
looking at the playoffs right now. Dean's team is in first place, and
Yeah. So
Silco's is
we'll get select. So
So which one would you prefer to face
so
first?
it depends on who wins the next game.
No,
We
I'm
actually
I'm asking
Oh, okay.
if Healy has a preference of who he wants to face first.
I mean, always down to clown on Dean. So
Oh shit.
Easy. Good
Okay,
answer.
well,
I
I
love
will
that.
tell you, one of the results of the next series will result us in us picking you. So 50-50, I guess.